The quantum relay station hummed with an energy that made Ambassador Keth's crystalline skin vibrate in harmonious frequencies. As the primary envoy of the Galactic Confederation, she had witnessed many first contacts, but never one quite like this. The message had arrived through channels so ancient that most civilizations had forgotten they existed. Deep space quantum tunnels that predated the current galactic calendar by millennia. "Impossible," whispered her aide, Marcus Rivera, whose augmented neural implants flickered with disbelief. "The signal originates from the Sol system, but that sector went dark over 40,000 years ago." Keth's compound eyes focused on the holographic display. The message was elegantly simple, transmitted in mathematical sequences that any spacefaring civilization would recognize. But its content sent ripples of unease through her consciousness. A single word, repeated in over 3,000 languages and dialects from across the galaxy. "Run." "What happened to Earth?" Rivera asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "The archives mention a thriving world, blue oceans, green continents." Then, silence. The truth was classified at the highest levels. Keth had access to records that most beings would never see. 43,000 years ago, humanity had been contacted by something they called the Devourers, entities that consumed not just matter and energy, but the very fabric of spacetime itself. Earth's final transmission had been a desperate warning, but by then it was too late. The Sol system had been quarantined, marked as a dead zone on every star chart. "Play the full transmission," Keth commanded. The hologram shifted, revealing something that made Rivera stumble backward. A figure materialized, distinctly human but changed. Its skin held a metallic sheen, and where eyes should have been, twin stars burned with nuclear fire. Cables of organic metal sprouted from its spine, connecting to machinery that seemed to phase in and out of visible reality. "I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the Terra Defense Corps." The figure spoke, its voice carrying harmonics that suggested it existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "If you're receiving this message, then you've achieved interstellar communication. Congratulations. Now listen carefully, because your survival depends on it." The transmission crackled with interference that seemed almost alive, writhing across the edges of the hologram like digital parasites. 40,000 years ago, we thought we were ready for anything the universe could throw at us. We were wrong. They came from spaces between spaces, from the gaps in reality itself. We called them Devourers, but they're so much worse than that name implies. They don't just destroy, they unmake. They turn existence itself into food. Rivera's augmented systems were going haywire, unable to properly process the visual data. The figure in the transmission seemed to exist in too many dimensions at once, creating feedback loops in any technology that tried to analyze it. "We fought them for 300 years, Captain Vasquez continued. "We evolved, transcended, became something more than human to match their power. We won, but the cost." The figure's stellar eyes dimmed. "Earth is gone. Sol is gone. We had to collapse our own star system into a pocket dimension to contain them." Keth felt her crystalline heart skip several beats. "The quarantine zone." "But they're stirring again," the transmission continued. "Our sensors detect breach attempts at the dimensional barriers. They've learned, adapted. When they break free, and they will break free, they'll be hungry. 40,000 years of hunger." The hologram flickered, showing glimpses of impossible geometries, cities that existed in folded space, humans who had become living spacecraft, their consciousness distributed across vast networks of organic machinery. "We've become the guardians, the watchers at the threshold. But we won't be enough next time. So we're sending this message to every civilization we can reach. When you see the stars going out, when space itself begins to unravel, don't try to fight. Don't try to negotiate. Don't try to understand." Captain Vasquez leaned forward, and for a moment her transformed features showed an echo of the woman she once was: determined, desperate, but still unmistakably human. "Run." The transmission ended, leaving the relay station in absolute silence. Keth stood frozen, her consciousness reeling from the implications. Humanity hadn't died out, They had evolved into something beyond recognition to stand guard against a threat that could unmake reality itself. Rivera's voice cracked as he spoke. "Ambassador, what do we do?" Keth looked at the star charts, at the thousands of thriving civilizations spread across the galaxy, all blissfully unaware of the darkness contained in a quarantine system. "We prepare," she whispered, "and we pray that humanity's vigil holds."